Thanks as always for listening. When Chris and I got together to record this episode, we actually hadn't spoken in a few weeks just because our schedules, we haven't been able to harmonize them. And I didn't realize until after the fact, after we recorded the whole thing, that most of it we just spent chatting and catching up. And I rehashed my experience at the game convention that I talked about in the previous 2 solo episodes. And I figured that instead of providing redundant information over again, I would just focus on the original subject that we decided for this episode, which is Christmas time gaming. And so we're going to get right to that in this very short episode, this 13-some-minute episode, where Chris is going to talk about his ideas for gaming over the holidays and how to make something special and fun for your group. So, let's do this. Let's talk about something positive here. Let's talk about something happy. Hopefully, you've got Christmas trolls behind you, or goblins, or whatever they're called. We're going to talk a little bit about holiday gaming. That is, gaming in relation to the Christmas holiday and how you might go about changing to mark it as a neat occasion for your group, as people, as a group, and maybe in the game itself. So you were talking about, you had some ideas. What are you thinking?
Well, it's because I've done this 3 years in a row now. I mean, partly it's a combination of, it very much goes into the one-shot thing. So if you look at any of our previous episodes, we talked about when to do a one-shot. It's a good palate cleanser. So I think 2 years ago I was in a situation where we hadn't played. I think we hadn't played a lot of role-playing game. I think we'd played role-playing earlier in the year, in the later half of 2022. I think we've been playing a bit of board gaming, and I was like, I wanted to do some role-playing. And so that was my impetus doing it. Let's do it. Last year was a similar thing, except last year we'd done loads of role playing, but it was all 5e. We spent like most of the year playing 5e. So then it was a case of I want to try something different. So then I used it last year as a way of playing a different system and throwing it in there. And this year similar. Like we did role playing earlier in the year, and then we played that ISS Vanguard, which took forever. And then we've been playing a load of Games Workshop, like miniatures games. And again, I was like, right, I want to do a Christmas role-playing game. So for me, I've always chosen to do it as a combination, like a palate cleanser of what we've been doing, as a, not even a segue. These are always one-offs. These are always things that, well, I'll come to that in a minute. But, literally that's my reasoning behind it. It's Christmas, so it'll be fun to do a Christmassy thing. It's a palate cleanse. What we've been doing is a way to change something, and also it's a good way to try a system. Now, this time is going to be the first time I think I'm going to play a system I have played before. So 2 years ago with that, I did Act and Cthulhu. Last year I did Outgunned. I'd never actually played either of them properly. And this year I'm playing 40k Wrath and Glory, which I have played before. We played it earlier in the year.
And nothing screams Christmas like Warhammer Wrath and Glory. I mean, it's just let me just say this really quickly. I love the idea, and you put this, honestly, I think this is terrific. And you, dear listener or dear watcher, you should hang on this, because this is good advice. This is a terrific opportunity for a one-off, for a palate cleanser, for something fun. Like, I am not going to all of a sudden have Christmas Traveler. I'm not going to interrupt the flow of my story and have, like, Santa's Jump 4 Scout show up or something like that. That's just not going to happen. So instead of injecting, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be like Christmas oriented story wise, although you and I have both done that. But I love the idea of like, hey, treat this like a convention game, treat this like a palate cleanser, do a one off, and have some fun with it.
Yeah, I mean that's what. So in both my first year and my last, so 2 years ago, like I said, I did Act and Cthulhu. I had this idea. I was like, I hadn't played it. I had some Act and Cthulhu, so I wanted to try the system out a little bit, and I wanted to have something with some slightly, I decided I was going to have a bit more, like it was going to be at Christmas. It'd be a less obvious Christmassy initially, and so my idea was like, right, well, I'm going to have Santa be real, because that seems like a thing that could happen in Act and Cthulhu. But I'm not going to start with this. I'm going to go straight forward. I'm going to have the Nazis have captured Santa, and they're going to use Santa for some kind of, nefarious ritual. That didn't matter. And that was kind of, that was my thing. It was the idea. Start with a really little, simple idea. And so then, I created a thing where they do that. So they were 2 special forces guys that dropped into Germany or France, I can't remember. And they've been told that there's something going down. The bad guys, Black Sun, all the other ones have got there's something going down. So the first thing was to break into a base and find out, or like interrogate someone. So they capture some guy. There's a hostage. The higher ups have captured someone there, and so then the next thing, it's a straightforward thing because it can only take 3 hours. Like it can't be 2 sessions. It's got to be one session because it's one big Christmas thing. And then they're the things, they get there and they get to the castle and they break into it and they find the prisoner and the prisoner's Santa. But because it's acting Cthulhu, it's like, okay, this is a bit weird, but at the same time, this isn't completely out of the ordinary.
Look, I can absolutely see the nefarious operatives of Black Sun trying to siphon off Santa's magical power to use for the aforementioned nefarious purposes. I could totally see that. Or like Nachtwolfe, like plugging their Blauer crystal things into parts unmentionable of Santa to try to gain some kind of power. Totally works for me. What are you doing with? Is Santa going to make an appearance in pauldrons and things like that for your Wrath and Glory?
So for this year, again, so I mean, I'll jump back to my last year and then I'll get to this. So that was my first year. I had a very clear sign. Last year, because Outgunned had come out, and Outgunned is it's an action movie game. So I didn't want to do a fancy version. I was like, right, but there are plenty of Hollywood action films set at Christmas. Okay, whether it's Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, a couple of others. And so I was like, right, I'm just going to do a straight up action movie. So it's not going to be Christmassy in a sense. There's no Santa, there's no elves, there's no magic, there's no fantasy. None of that stuff. It's going to be straight up action. But my big inspiration last year was like, right, I'm going to have a music soundtrack. So this was the one where I basically found a bunch of Christmas songs I really liked, and then I worked out action movie scenes that would match those. And I did that. So I had 15 different Christmas songs. So there was fights to songs which sound like, rocking around the Christmas tree. And so there's a fight and there's a Christmas tree in the middle.
Okay, 2 questions. And by the way, we have like 7.5 minutes left.
Yeah, that's fine.
Real quick, did you provide this playlist to your players before or after? Did you use
No, I just did it during, like literally during. I would press play and start the song playing at the point.
And you use these songs for inspiration? Do you have a list?
I should still have that playlist.
Because I would love to see that. That's really cool.
So I kind of had a combination. There was somewhere like I want the scene to do this, and there was other ones where I know I want to use this song, and it was a combination of just. So I basically did this whole. It was classic. It was a cop movie thing. One of like Scott's character is dating Brian's character's daughter, and that all kinds of stuff. There's a fight in Chinatown. At the end of it, they're skydiving off buildings, and there was a fight in a hockey rink, and someone gets killed with a Zamboni, and it was a winter Christmas action thing with a proper and I put all the music in. The music was all my favorite Christmas tunes. I managed to get them all in there. I can't quite remember how I did. So that was it. This year, I decided I was going to do some version of Warhammer. Now, my first thing was, right, is there any kind of Christmas thing in it? And my first thing, I typed, Christmas in Warhammer 40,000. And the Imperial, the good guys, have some kind of thing called Candlemas, which sounds about the same. And then I saw this little guy pop up who's called the Red Gobbo. Now, your first thing when you saw this guy is that's a communist. So it turns out this guy called the Red Gobbo, they release a figure for him. This thing on this is this year's Red Gobbo Christmas model. So he is essentially a communist. He is leading an uprising of the Gobbos, the Gretchen, against the Orcs, because they're basically their slaves. They're like rubbishy little. They're the underlings because they're small, and Orcs are big and strong, and so they put upon these guys. And this Red Gobbo guy raises up against them. But at some point, these Gobbos have got confused with Christmas as well because of the red thing. So he wears a Santa hat. He wears a Santa outfit. They celebrate Grotmas, where I assume he brings presents and stuff. But at the same time, they're trying to free the Gretchen from the oppressors of the Orcs. So I was like, oh, that's quite fun, because that's like, I can see a thing there. We're going to have the Orcs in. Orcs are great because I can do all the voices for Orcs, and they'll all just talk like Cockneys. And then I had an even better
Quick jump in here. Why is it, and maybe we should do an episode on the origins of accents in tabletop RPGs. Why is it? So wait, because it seems to me like we Americans, whenever we want something to be foreign sounding, we just make it a bad British accent. But it sounds like you do the same thing.
Oh, totally. Or dwarfs are all Scottish. Yeah, dwarfs are Scottish. Orcs and their brethren are all Cockneys. It's just, it's what you do. Elves are always, upper class English accents.
like
or
snooty
French.
sounding. Why? So hold on. Why do dwarves never have like German accents or Russian accents or something like that? That's funny. So we make everything
it's probably
British.
because they're ginger. A lot of dwarves are ginger, and obviously everyone in Scotland is ginger. That's a well-known fact.
What do you mean? As being a redhead?
Well, the joke is that the vast majority of the Scottish population is ginger, which obviously isn't true, but there definitely are more ginger people in Scotland than outside of Scotland. That's almost certain.
They're even more averse to sunlight than you are.
I think it's that. It's the combination of the Scottish and
they're
the
like
ginger.
salamanders.
But I had this when I was looking into this Grotmus and this Red Gobbo thing. I had this really clever idea that I could have Brian and Scott be the essentially space elves. So the Eldar are essentially space elves, and they're going to help the Red Gobbo. So they will literally be Santa's elves.
Okay.
And I'm just like, yes, that's it. That's my idea. And then the rest of it, I just went up to ChatGPT and said, like, give me a story for some Eldar space elves like helping the Red Gobbo, and it just everything else that worked there. Even to the extent where at the end of it said they sang a song. I got ChatGPT to write me a Christmas Gretchen like freedom song.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Which I can't work out how to get it to like do like I want music and like the sound fit. I can't find a website that will do it in like a goblin voice, but still I've got the lyrics.
You need to provide me with all of this. Okay, so that I can print I can put this as a Google Doc so that people can actually look at this ridiculousness, because that's lovely.
Yeah. So yeah, they're going to be helping the Red Gobbo rise up against the orcs, and at the end of it, there'll be a big Grotmas celebration with a song, which I'm not going to sing, but I have the lyrics for.
You know, you could ask ChatGPT to take the lyrics, and you could say, "I'd like a song in this key." That is, you know, like old songs be like, this song is sung to the tune of Jibba Jabba Jabba or whatever like that. You could tell it to choose like chord progressions for guitar, for example. And maybe we could, you know what, because I'm a crappy guitarist and bassist, but maybe we could have, and I could use GarageBand to like alter my voice, and we could make a goblin Christmas song, a commie goblin Christmas song.
Yeah, so I've got the lyrics. I was trying to find a website that would take those lyrics and turn it into an actual song, but I didn't have time to do it. So I don't know if I'll get that far. But it was just the thing, because I noticed at the end of the thing it had written, because it does quite a good job of creating these plot things. And at the bottom it said, and they sing an up such and such song, and I was like, can you write me the lyrics for that song?
And it did.
Yes.
So, okay, that's really cool. I dig that. I don't know what I'm going to do. It looks like on the 21st of December, we're going to have our Christmas. We'll have like a little Christmas party with, you know, maybe fondue and stuff like that, because fondue is the right thing to do, and whatnot. We'll have a potluck of some sort. But the adventure I have not thought about, and I might have to steal this. Because I would just use Shadow Dark. It's super simple, and little commie goblins to slaughter would be great.
When this in the goblins, the commies are, unfortunately for you, are the good guys, but I think
the commies are never the good guys, though.
They'll die in their droves, so it doesn't really matter.
Good.
And they're not really commies. They're more.
Maybe I could have like
flames.
Combined goblins, like commie goblins, and like a Red Dawn kind of theme, because that always swells the heart of every true American is Red Dawn. Not the new one either. Okay, so in short, I'm gonna totally take your idea and run with it. That you ought to do a Christmas session, and you treat it like a con game, and treat it like a one-off, and amp it up. And maybe if you include direct Christmas themes, hey, terrific, more fun for you. But what a great opportunity to say goodbye to a year, and honestly, thanks to players and thanks to a group, and hopefully you have a home group of people that you like, and so I think it's important to take time as people and be thankful for having each other to game with and hang out with and tell goofy stories with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just another excuse to have fun in a slightly different, usually a bit more off the wall, daft kind of way than normal.
Thank you, as always, for listening to Fluff and Crunch. You can join our Discord, you can subscribe to the podcast, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, all through the links in the show notes. Thanks again, Have a great day. We look forward to talking with you.